I've never bought a business before. I don't know what I'm doing really, but it seems really interesting and I'm pretty confident that I can learn it, and I want to document this whole journey starting from scratch, everything that I'm learning, every hurdle that I'm facing, and share that with all of you. I kind of wish I did that for learning to get my first rental property or setting up my first Airbnb, because like looking back a year afterward, it all seems so easy. It's amazing how much progress I can make, but I don't think I can really go back and very accurately describe how challenging it was at that moment and how confused and how unsure, how not confident I was. And I wish I had a piece of that journey to like show anyone else who is doing something similar that, hey, no one really knows what they're doing. Everyone's just really trying to figure it out from scratch, and it is completely like figure outable. And I also think there's like a benefit to building publicly, I think. I don't know if I'll regret it later, but there's an element of like community advice. Like if there's someone watching this who has done this before, they might be able to drop some knowledge and let me know what they know and point me in the directions that I wouldn't otherwise have thought of. So here I am. I'm probably going to give updates on me trying to buy a business, and these will be relatively unscripted and unedited compared to my other videos. And I'm just excited for you to come along with me on this journey. And in a year, we'll see where this goes. Like maybe this will be like a roadmap for someone who's looking to do the same thing, or it'll be like a warning of what not to do. Or it'll be like a complete flop of you shouldn't buy a business and here's why. I don't know how it'll end, but I hope you'll come along, and if you're interested in this, please subscribe. Alright, with this being the first episode, I figure we should start with why I'm even interested in buying a business in the first place. I think it actually just all comes down to wanting to look for a next project. A couple of years ago when we started looking at real estate and learning how to do rental properties, yes, it was a steep learning curve, but once you kind of have it set up and it's running, my time involvement in that kind of just backs off. There's tweaking, there's always continued education, if you will, but it's not as time intensive. And I realized that yes, while I'm kind of doing it in the name of investing and money, I really am drawn to the learning of it. Like that to me is the fun part. So that's kind of what's drawing me to find a next thing to do. Of course, what I've already learned in getting rental properties, that is like learning a bike, right? That always stays. I'm always peripherally kind of monitoring the market. We actually just went to a showing at a quadplex in town, and it's actually like not terrible. But in general, real estate investment, buying a house for Airbnb or buying a house as a long-term rental, none of the deals are kind of comping, if that makes any sense. Like the math just isn't there when the house prices are so high and interest rates are also still so high. So nothing on the real estate front is looking particularly attractive, and I'm not really interested in arbitrage at this time. So I guess my thought is, well, why not take the time to learn something new while I'm kind of waiting and nothing else is like happening, right? As far as why specifically looking at buying a business, I think I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial kick. Even from when I was a kid, like I would draw these comic books and sell it to my friends. And me and my friends in high school, we had this like little resale shop, which was totally not legit, by the way. We found out later that that's not allowed. But we would all be too lazy to walk down the 5 flights of stairs to go to the real snack shop. So we would like go to the grocery store and like stock our own classroom and resell it to our friends and make a little profit. Truth be told, I think creating something would be more up my alley. But I also hear how risky having a business is. 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And it seems like it's commonly quoted that buying a business versus creating one helps mitigate some of that risk. That could be. And even if after my learning process I decide not to buy a business, I figure whatever I learn in that time frame would apply to me creating something in the future anyway. So that's probably time well invested regardless. Apart from just personal interest, I think operating a business and owning a business would put to use some of the skills that I have and some of the skills that my husband has. Skills that I feel like aren't really maximized right now. And then lastly is the money. I think it could be a good investment, We don't know, it could be. I feel like I've seen quite a wide spectrum of the possibilities. There's obviously like the online version, whatever happens on TikTok, of like this 20-year-old that has no job, no experience, that somehow buys a car wash and it's pulling in like 6 figures a month, right? We've all seen those stories, and I'm not saying they're not true, but I feel like the more outlandish something is, and more extreme someone's success story is, the more likely it is shared, so that we end up seeing basically like the tail end of whatever the normal distribution bell curve is. The 95th percentile stories are what we're seeing, but that's not necessarily representative of like average people that are kind of in the middle of this normal distribution, people like you and me. So there's that, and I'm definitely skeptical. However, I do know people in real life, extended family members, friends, who do own businesses and operate businesses kind of as their main gig. And these are people who have like mostly been self-employed throughout their entire life, and they've found varying levels of success and been sucked into different levels of like working 80 hours a week versus really being able to delegate and scale. So I feel like I've seen also real life examples, and potentially could tap into that network and learn more from people that I really know. And hopefully their experience, if they're willing to share, can help ground me and kind of prevent me from like falling into weird hype from the internet. All right, so with that in mind, what homework am I doing? How am I getting started? The first thing I'm doing is just learning. I'm watching a bunch of YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, basically anything I can find related to buying a business, operating a business, starting a business, and kind of the peripheral kind of accounting topics, tax related topics, whatever else kind of fits in to that whole genre, and just absorb whatever I can. As you may already know, I'm really skeptical when I watch videos and consume content, and hopefully I can keep that kind of skeptical glasses on, because I do think there is a lot of hype around this topic, any topic in general about making money online. I'll share some channels that I found useful below. Literally no one I have found is completely unbiased in this space, so I expect you to also put on your skeptical glasses when you watch those videos that I link. The second piece that I'm starting is I'm just kind of browsing on bizbuysell.com to look at what kind of businesses are even for sale, like what kind of documents are there, like what's the whole process of learning more about a business for sale. Do I think that I will buy a business from there like next week? No, of course not. And I have heard that perhaps the good deals are not really the ones that are listed with a broker website like that, but I think it's still a good idea to just start getting my eyeballs adjusted to, for example, after I sent like the I am interested kind of email to these business brokers, the first thing you get is an NDA, which I don't know, I just didn't know that. Like, it kind of took me by surprise that you have to sign a thing before they send you any sort of financial info. It makes sense, but I'm just kind of comparing it to like browsing something on Zillow and just kind of snooping on people on the property records website. That's a different process, and I think just kind of going through the motions and understanding what all is involved, how do conversations go, that was interesting to me. And then as far as the documents that I'm receiving so far, I feel like I sort of understand what is being sent, but honestly, there is still so much I need to learn. Like, how do I know they're not making this up? And then there are also different ways of like valuing a company, and I'm also getting like a few numbers a little mixed up sometimes, and I don't know if it's just me or if they're like purposely presenting it confusingly or misusing some of the labels like EBITDA and net profit and SDE and cash flow. I feel like sometimes they interchange them, so I feel like I need to get a better handle on that, so that if they are kind of trying to BS me and make something up, I can tell. Definitely not there, but I'm kind of starting to make a list of what I don't know and trying to learn more to fill those gaps. And then the last piece of homework I want to do is kind of fine-tune what type of industry I'm looking at. There are a few things that jump out at me. For example, I saw like a bunch of cabins for sale up north, something that's almost a Airbnb adjacent, but just in a bigger scale. I feel like I already understand that. and I could do that, but I don't know for sure that I want something so remote, and that's what up north is, it's remote. And then the other thing that piqued my interest is sort of healthcare related items. There are a lot of assisted livings, a lot of like helping seniors downsize and move them out, and kind of services surrounding that. Saw a lab testing place. There are just so many different businesses out there, and I feel like the often used examples are like a laundromat or like a plumbing company. I guess I understand the premise of it, but I don't really have an interest. And so yeah, I guess my last piece of homework for this month is just kind of fine-tuning what I actually want to do. For all of the above homework, I'm dedicating maybe half hour to 45 minutes a day to learning. And it isn't as much as it sounds like, because there's a little bit of commuting to and from work. There's like some walking around at work, and it's really easy to just put in some AirPods and listen to something new and give ideas a little bit more thought. I think it's very doable, and I think we'll start there and see how we progress in another month or so. And I'll be sure to report back my findings. And I think once I know a little bit more and can have like a more educated conversation, like better than what I'm doing now, I plan to tap into people in real life, like not just rely on online resources, because as I mentioned, conflicts of interest. I can potentially engage in better conversations with real life business owners that I happen to know, and I would have better thoughtful questions and learn from them. I hope this video wasn't too all over the place. It's weird to not really script out everything, but I'm hoping to like document the actual process and my genuine thoughts as I'm going through like the true beginner stage that I am right now. And if anything, I can look back in a year and be like, wow, I made progress from whatever that June video was. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you again next time. Bye.